Hi, welcome back. We're continuing our discussion of perspective cast shadows. And in the last video, you just learned how to cast a shadow with a rear light source. Behind the object, the shadow comes out towards the viewer. Now let's take a look at a frontal light source. The light source is going to be behind the viewer. It's in front of the subject of your drawing, and the shadow will cast out away from the viewer. And let me tell you, this is going to blow your mind. Here it comes. All right. We have the same scenario, the same scene that you just saw. The subject of our perspective drawing is a box. We're using a 2-point perspective view. So here is our horizon line with the vanishing points on the left and the right. We have the same light source and in the location and distance above the horizon line. Right? But remember, in this case, the light source is not in front of the viewer. All right, it is not. It is in front of the object, it's a frontal light source, and so it's behind the viewer. So here's what we have to do. We have to create a construct. All right, this doesn't physically exist, but it is a construct that we use to cast these shadow lines, and it's called an anti-light source. So take this measured distance above the horizon line, reflect it below the horizon line, and you'll find your anti-light source right here. Right? Same as last time, we have a shadow vanishing point where that light source crosses the horizon line. All right, it's time to cast some rays, and we're going to do it a little bit backwards of what we did before. Let's cast our light rays. First, you'll find the important points in your object, all right, and then project them to the ground plane. All right, so we're starting with points on the ground plane, and you'll draw your guidelines from your anti-light source, all right, our blue dot here, through those important points on on the ground plane, and those are our light rays in this case. Let's find our bearing rays, and in this case, they're going to go from the shadow vanishing point to the important points of our subject, all right? And remember, these are not the ones projected to the ground plane. These are out on our actual subject. Next step, connect the dots. Each important point on your subject has 3 points. It's got the actual point, it's got the projection on the ground plane, and then it has the intersection of the light ray and the bearing ray. Let's take a look at an example of this right corner of the box. All right, it's got, here's the important point, here's the projection on the ground plane, the light ray and the bearing ray connect right here. Once you have those important shadow points, you'll connect them into a continuous shadow, like this. All right, notice frontal light source, the shadow is being cast behind our box. So right now I have our box drawn kind of translucent as if it were made out of glass so that you can see the entire shadow. But you can finish out this drawing by realizing that is a solid object, all right? And we're actually only going to see the part of shadow that is peeking out from behind the box. Add the shade and you're complete. Now that you've gone through this very technical method of casting rear and frontal shadows in a perspective view, let me show you a simple method. This is a shortcut, and you're going to use it for implied shadows. It's not geometrically accurate. All right, but it is a quick and dirty way to put some shadows on a perspective when you're just doing a quick sketch. All right, this method is going to assume the light rays will be parallel to the picture plane, and they don't converge on a light source. All right. And it also assumes that your bearing rays are horizontal. So let's walk through an example. Here is your subject. It is a cube sitting on a ground plane, and we can see that we're in 2 point perspective, and you can see the horizon line and the vanishing points. So the first thing you want to do is cast some bearing rays from the bottom. Again, bearing rays are on the ground plane of the important points of your subject. The next step is to pick an angle for your light rays, and it's really common to pick 45 degrees, 30 and 60, also very common, all right? So in this example, we used 45, and from the important points of your object, you'll cast a 45-degree light ray. Notice these aren't converging on a particular light source. If you connect these bearing ray and light ray intersections, you will end up with a shadow. Again, this is a simple method. It's not optically accurate, but can be great for your quick sketches. Add your shade and you'll be complete. Thanks, everyone. We just walked through how to cast shadows in your perspective views.